I always knew Sarah's mother hated me. She hated me since the day Sarah started hanging out with me. Probably thought I was a bad influence or some bullshit like that. Let me be clear. I never made Sarah do anything she didn't want to. Sure, a lot of the time when we got in trouble, whatever we had been doing was my idea. But that doesn't mean Sarah didn't agree to go along with it. Honestly, most teenagers get into a little trouble every now and then. For a long time, we were able to tolerate each other. It was always awkward. We both refused to speak to each other. But Sarah didn't mind as long as we didn't badmouth the other to her. She loved us both, she told me, and she just wanted us to accept that she needed both of us in her life. We agreed to be civil. We would do anything to make Sarah happy. Really though, Sarah's mom should have been kissing my feet for being friends with someone like Sarah. I adore her now, but when we met, Sarah was nobody. Everyone at school said so, and although they wouldn't bully her directly, being excluded had hurt her just as much. Eventually I felt sorry for her. I was new and I could tell she was the coolest person in this lame-ass little town. So one day at lunch, while she was eating alone, I went and sat next to her and introduced myself. Sarah, right? I'm Melanie. Oh, hi. How do you know my name? We met at that orientation thing in the fall. My parents had to work, so I was there alone. Oh, I'm really sorry. Melody? I don't even remember talking to anyone at that thing besides my mom. Melanie. And I think it was in some small share your feelings group thing. Not entirely memorable, but I did remember you. Why are you eating alone? My friends had lunch detentions. Sarah, I'll be honest. I'm new here, and even I know that's a lie. Seriously, why are you eating alone? I'm not exactly friend material, apparently. I've never really had any. Well shit, now I feel like a real asshole. I'll tell you what, since I'm new and everyone else here seems pretty boring so far, how about we be friends? Then you don't have to eat alone, and I don't have to listen to stupid high school drama for the bazillionth time. Really? Yeah, I mean, that'd be okay, I guess. As our friendship blossomed, I found out Sarah was like that a lot. Over-eager, but trying to seem cool. I didn't mind though. I liked her eagerness. It made it more fun to do stuff together. Mel, can I ask you something? Sarah rarely asked permission before posing a question, so I was a little concerned what she had to say. Sure, go for it, kid. Well, it's just that, why don't you ever invite me over to your house? I mean, I love having you stay here so much, but you and my mom don't exactly get along. And you know, she just said stuff about it, and I wasn't gonna ask, but then I was like, maybe I should, but I didn't want you to be mad at me or be like, off. Sarah, seriously breathe for like a second, so I can answer. I don't invite you over because my parents work so much and they usually just get takeout dinner, and then crash as soon as they're home. Mom's real strict about quiet hours too, so it's always so boring. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, it's not a big deal. What did your mom say about it? It was stupid. She just said that real friends invite people over to their houses too. Do you think I'm not a real friend? Of course not. I guess she's just concerned. Dr. Mayers said something to her the other day, and she's been acting weird since. This wasn't the first time I'd heard of Dr. Mayers. Sarah's dad had killed himself when Sarah was only 11. Apparently it was pretty gruesome, but I never got all the details since nobody at Sarah's house liked to talk about it. When Sarah was 13, her mom was worried she still wasn't grieving properly, so she took her to see Dr. Mayers. He's some kind of therapist or something. I told Sarah she should stop going to see him, that she didn't need some stranger invading her most private thoughts, but she said her mom would be really mad if she didn't go. Before Sarah turned 17, we only got in a little bit of trouble. Skipping class here, steal a candy bar there, nothing too bad. But once Sarah got her license, that changed. I really couldn't tell you who came up with the idea. Sometimes it felt like we were the same person in two bodies. In the end, It didn't matter who came up with the idea. I've just got to tell you that nobody was supposed to get hurt. The prosecutor didn't believe Sarah when she told him, but it's true. Randy Evans had always been one of the most well-liked boys in school. So when he asked Sarah to the junior prom, we were both so excited. I always had to go to dances alone since Sarah would only go if someone asked her, and no one ever had. The night he asked her to be his date, we stayed up until morning looking at dresses online, talking about how we would try to pick colors that we would both look good in so we could sort of match. Even Sarah's mom seemed to be more pleasant than usual. The excitement came to a complete halt 2 weeks later when Randy told Sarah the devastating news. His family was moving in April, and he would be on the other side of the country by the time prom came around in May. I've never seen Sarah so crushed. Her mom even started making her go to Dr. Mayer's twice a week to be sure she didn't do anything stupid. I knew Sarah could cry on his couch all she wanted. It wasn't going to fix the problem. The problem was Randy's dad making them move for some dumb promotion. I made sure I had the plan perfect before I presented it to Sarah. When I did, she was hesitant at first. Do you want Randy to be your date, or do you want to sit here and cry like a little bitch? She looked hurt when I said it, but agreed to at least hear me out on the plan, as long as she could make some changes. It should have gone seamlessly. Sarah was going to text Randy and tell him she had a surprise for him at Peak Park. She would go there earlier and leave a wrapped box under the slide for him. Inside would be a cute little bow tie that matched her dress and a note that simply read, "Prom?" After we had set up the gift, we would drive back over to Randy's and wait for him to leave. His mom worked the late shift, so she would be gone, and his dad would be home alone. We'd go in and explain how important prom was and ask if Randy could at least fly back to go with Sarah. I originally suggested to scare him into not moving at all, but Sarah said that was too mean and Randy would be mad. Everything went perfectly at first. Randy's mom at work, Randy on his way to the park, and Randy's dad now home alone. As we approached the house, I could tell Sarah was getting nervous. She's never been good with confrontation. "I'll handle the talking," I said while giving her a reassuring smile. She stayed silent but seemed to be comfortable with the idea. As we rang the doorbell, I could hear heavy footsteps approaching. Randy's dad opened the door holding a large knife. It startled Sarah so much she jumped. "Sarah, hi. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm making Randy and myself some dinner. Please come on in." We stepped carefully into the hallway, careful to keep our distance from the knife. Randy's dad must have sensed how uncomfortable it was making Sarah, so he set it down on a small table that sat next to the door. "What can I help you with? I think Randy just left to see you. I can call him and tell him you came here to meet him." "No, that's all right," Sarah said suddenly, finding the courage to speak. "We actually came here to talk to you." "We?" he said, looking confused. "Yeah, it's just that, well, Randy was supposed to be my prom date, but now he can't since you guys are moving, and I was really hoping you could maybe wait or he could come back or something since we already agreed to go together." "Sarah, I'm really sorry. Damn it, I told Randy to just be a man and tell you the honest truth. We aren't moving. I do have to go away for a few weeks for work, but Randy isn't coming with me." "He didn't tell you?" I saw Sarah's eyes light up with hope. "No, so we can go together? Look, you seem like a sweet girl, so I'm gonna be straight with you. Randy decided to ask Sherry Hawkins instead. I told him it was a shit thing to do, but he said you and a friend could go together and you wouldn't even mind. I really am sorry." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I saw how Randy looked at Sarah. I knew he wouldn't do that. This fat old man was lying through his teeth just to hurt my best friend. I was pissed, but was going to let Sarah handle her own battles. All she did though was crumple up on the floor like a used napkin. My rage was boiling hotter and hotter looking at the man that did this to my sweet Sarah. I could tell his concern was fake, that he was secretly laughing at her. So when he turned to grab his phone off the table in the living room, I sprang into action. In seconds, the knife went from the doorway table to my hand, and then into the liar's neck. He gasped, struggling to breathe, and fell to the floor. I pulled the knife out of his neck and kept stabbing. Sarah was my life. She was my everything, and he had reduced her to a sad puddle of tears on the floor. I don't know how long I was stabbing him. I only know that I stopped when I heard Randy open the door and scream, "Sarah! Oh my God, Sarah! What the fuck did you do?" I tried to protest to tell him it was me and not Sarah who had done it, but he was already back out the door screaming for someone to call the police. I don't know how, but when they came, it apparently looked like Sarah was the one who killed him. I kept trying to explain that it was me, but nobody was listening. At the trial, I mostly didn't recognize the people on the stand. The first person I remember knowing was Sarah's mom, who explained that Sarah had never been right since finding her father's dead body. I couldn't believe Sarah never told me that before. That must have been so horrible for her. For a second, I felt like a twinge of love for Sarah's mother for so bravely defending her daughter on the stand. But then I realized she wasn't defending her. She was accusing her. "Miss Carmichael, could you please tell us in your own words what changed with Sarah after her father's death? She became a recluse. She lost all her friends and for a while even insisted that her father was still alive. She wouldn't stop insisting he was alive and well, so I had to take her to see Dr. Mayers, a child psychologist." "What was your understanding of Dr. Mayers' findings?" "Sarah was suffering from multiple mental illnesses. Depression and anxiety I had noticed on my own, but Dr. Mayers believed that Sarah was also suffering some kind of psychosis. He was working to pin down a more specific diagnosis." "Did this come a shock to you?" "No. Her father was schizophrenic. It led to his suicide. Did you ever notice symptoms that you felt might indicate Sarah was indeed going through psychosis?" "Yes. Her freshman year of high school, she kept talking about a new friend. I was so happy at first. She struggled so much making friends, so I told her to bring her over for dinner. But when her friend came, she wasn't real. Sarah would do something awful, like throw a rock at a window, and then turn to the air beside her and tell her friend not to do that again. It was terrifying." "Miss Carmichael, did Sarah have a name for this friend?" "Melanie."